Well, at this stage in our development, what we're going to be starting to implement are the pictures that we wanted to have here. If you remember in our final design, we had some pictures integrated into the look of our work, and we're going to attempt to do the same thing here. Now, sometimes when you're in this development stage, you may or may not have the images actually available at the time of your design. And that's okay, because part of what you want to be doing when you're designing is anticipating for an area that might be used for a graphic or a picture, but you may not actually have that picture ready. So what we're going to be doing first and foremost is to integrate a couple of shape layers, and those shape layers will just be color coded initially, and we'll eventually be doing something with it and integrating it into some pictures. So let's just go about making some placeholders for ourselves right now, and you'll notice I'm pointing to the vector-based shapes that are here. Starts off with the rectangle tool, which is perfect, exactly what we want. Let me just draw your attention up to the top here for a second, and notice that I'm making, with these vector tools, a shape layer. We're not making a path, and we're certainly not making filled pixels. So it's a shape layer that I want you to integrate. Now don't worry so much about the colors, because we can change those colors a little bit later on. So as I draw this out, and you'll notice, as I'm slowing down here, you can see how the object is snapping to our guides. It's one of the big reasons that we're integrating those guidelines in here, not only for our graphic design layout, but we're also doing this just with regards to what we want to have happen here inside of our design. So with all of these things absolutely matched out, we know, we've measured and we've calculated that each one of these are 260 pixels wide, and that's perfectly fine. So you can see them here, shape 1, 2, and 3. And if I wanted to, I could also double click any one of these and choose a color. Remember, we used some Adobe Swatch Exchange options last time in the last video, so I could come in here and I could choose any number of different colors and click OK, and notice very easy for us to change what those colors actually are. And we do that just simply by talking about which colors we're using in which space. And just by double clicking on these here, we can see that it's very simple to go in and change some colors and do different things to it. So now we've got those three styles, these shapes right here, and there's three separate shapes. So technically speaking, if we didn't have our pictures ready, these would be perfect placeholders. However, we're going to be doing something with the pictures in the next video, and we'll still continue using these three as we go along. But before we continue, let me just take note of what's happening here inside of the layer palette. Everything seems pretty manageable because we only have about 6 layers. But soon enough, things will start to get a lot more complex, and there's going to be a lot more layers in here. So one of the things I want to do is to organize these layers much better. And we can do that by putting them inside of these groups, these little folders here that you can create. So I selected the top layer of the type here so that the group would be right on top of it. Doesn't really matter because we can move them around at any given point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put all of our type, which belongs in the header graphic, into group number 1, which I will now double click and rename header. Now after we've done that, that's fine, and we could stop right here, but let me show you something else that's advantageous when you're working with a lot of layers. You can also color code the specific layer. So check it out. You can collapse that folder so that it makes it a little bit more manageable. You can expand that layer, and when you do, all the color coding is there. So it shows you this belongs to the header folder. Let's do the same thing with these. Since they will in fact be used where the pictures will be, I'll select the top layer, and I will then click on my group, and we'll rename this one. If you click right on the text, you can rename it directly. And we'll rename this one Pictures. And then once that's done, I could also double click it out here, not on the text, but out here. And we could choose a color for this as well. So as you can see here, I've made them red. Now all we got to do is drag our objects inside of this. And when we do that, they also become red as well. So we can collapse those elements. Everything seems to be in order. and seems to be ready for us to now integrate our pictures, which we'll do in the next video.